Hi, everyone. My name's Amy Bedford. I'm part of the customer happiness team here at SwimTopia. And this is a workshop webinar on meet entries for school teams. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and get started. Feel free to ask questions throughout the meeting. We do have a chat room, or you can kind of raise your hand and I'll keep an eye out, or feel free to interrupt at any time. So this session is going to be catered towards school teams, and it's going to be regarding how meet entries are made, creating a meet in SwimTopia, and how to send those entries to the other team if needed. Okay, well, this is our team, Sunshine High School, and as you can see, under our schedule, we have several meets and calendar events listed. So let's go ahead and create a new meet. So we have add a swim meet. I have two options here. I can import a meet event file. This would be if the meet host is running the meet in potentially another software. If they are running it in Meet Manager, they can send you a EV3 file of the events that you can import, and it'll go ahead and create the meet for you. But for training purposes, we're going to go ahead and create an empty swim meet. And I'm going to call this our November Classic. And we are going to have this. It is going to be on let's do November 8th. It's going to be a midweek high school meet. It's going to start at 9 a.m. and warm-ups will be at 8. Okay, and the location, this will be, it's going to be a home meet. It's going to be at the Sunshine Natatorium. And then here I can include a whole bunch of different descriptions, and I'll show you some examples of those later. And since this is a home meet, I'm going to designate this as a home meet. It's high school, so we don't have any age updates. And our pool is short course yards. I'm going to hit save. And this creates the meet for me. And it is now showing on our schedule. I'm going to tab over here to status. Now you have a couple options for your meet entries, and I know different schools operate differently in how the coach wants to do it. If you or your coach would like to have your athletes sign up, or parents of those athletes sign up for the events that they'd like to swim at that meet, you can do that. You go over here to status. You're going to take your meet entry online setup status, and it's pending means there's no status, no button available. Open. This allows your families to go ahead and select events. So we're going to open this meet. And I'm going to hit save. Now, we do also need to add some events to this meet for our athletes to sign up for. So we're going to tab over here to meet setup and events. So I have two options here. I can go ahead and create events, like say this is a fun meet and you're doing just, maybe it's just a fun relay meet. You can go ahead and create the events here for that schedule. Or as with most high school meets, they do follow the NFHS order of events. And I'll show you a little bit later how to create a meet template. And I already have one for those events. And I'm going to go ahead and just apply the NFHS high school events without diving. We don't have a dive team. And I'm going to hit save. And that automatically creates those events for me. Now I have my statuses open. There's a few things that we can set up before our parents go on and choose the events for our athletes. And these are team preferences. I'm going to assume that anyone who has not told us whether they're attending the meet or not, that they are going to be attending. But you also have an option to change that to will not. So you can change that to suit your team's needs. For the online signup, I'm going to ask whether athletes will be attending or not attending. And I also want parents to select parents or athletes to choose their events. And then they can also put additional notes to the coach as well. I also have an option to choose how I'd like to build my relays. There's the traditional order, or there are several different options from our drop-down menu, and you can select from this drop-down menu to your preference. And I'm going to hit save. Now, as a parent, say I'm a parent on the team or an athlete, I go under schedule, and I'm going to tab down to our November Classic, and I can see that the green button is open. So that means meet entry online status is open. And for my two athletes, I'm going to choose the events for them. So Lane is attending. And as you can see, since Lane is male, it only shows me the male events. And I have the option to select up to 2. He's going to do butterfly and the 500 free, and it won't even let me choose more than 2 events. Need something to let the coach know. Nope, we're not gonna, nothing that we need to tell the coach. Larissa, she's also attending this meet. She's going to do the 50 freestyle and the 100 breast, and she's choosing off events because of a minor shoulder injury. Okay. So as a parent or athlete, I have gone ahead and selected the events for I'm going to talk through the lens of a parent for my athletes. And we can come back to this meet. I'm going to hit entries, and I can see that those entries have come through for Larissa and Lane. And then if we go back here, we can see the notes from the coaches. So as you can see in our meet, I'm going to kind of go left to right here. We've got all sorts of tabs. So we talked about status. Now, say I want to go ahead and close that. Say I've got everyone's entries, or the deadline is approaching. I'm going to hit save. We're going to tab over here to meet setup. We talked about team preferences, linking. This is if the opposing team is another SwimTopia team, you can go ahead and say you're the home team. You can send them this visitor code to this meet. They will put this in on their team site in this field, and it'll link the 2 meets together. Over here are the events. We talked about the meet template, and how to create events. And then let me also, while we're here, I'm going to go up under schedule. Here are the meet templates that you can create. I have on my site, I have our high school order of events without diving. I have the order of events with diving, but you could also create a template for say you have the say you have a fun relay meet. I cannot type today. Save. And then you could add events. Say you do this meet every year, you create your events, and then this meet template is saved. And then for each season, all you have to do is then apply that template. But I know for most of the school teams, you're going to have the NFHS order of events. For all new teams coming onto SwimTopia, this will be preloaded. If your site was opened prior to us having these templates on the new sites, feel free to shoot us an email at help@swimtopia.com, and we can get those transferred over to your site. Okay, so let's go back to our swim meet. Let me just check. Does anyone have any questions before we move forward? No? All right, well, thanks. Okay, so let's go back to our November Classic. And let's talk about our entry rules. So I'm going to go ahead and unlink from this template. So for most high school meets, the entry limits are 2 individual, 3 relay for a total of 4 maximum combined events. If your meet is different from this, you would then want to make those changes in this field. Then there's lots of different options that you have here. Whether you want to allow the meet results to be edited after the meet is completed, manual assignment of heats and lanes. Say this is an inter-squad meet, just a fun, like we had showed earlier, your fun relay meet. Well, then you might want to then make this unofficial so that those seat times don't count as official seat times in future meets. But for this meet, we're going to keep it as official. Maybe your meet is only allowing entry time since the beginning of the year. I know that's common for some of the high school championship meets. So in that case, you would go ahead and designate only accept valid entry time since January 1st of the year. Another option is require valid entry times, meaning you are not allowing any no time entries. Require official entry times. Do not use times from unofficial meets. This would be a common one, especially if you have some inter-squad meets on your schedule and you don't want those to count. Allow entries using custom times. This one, I know a lot of high school coaches will select this because many of your swimmers might swim club, and maybe they're a freshman on your team, so they don't have a seat time yet, but that they have swam the 100 free recently in club. You might want to enter in that their USA swimming time as their custom time so that they get seated accordingly. And then I'm going to talk about these 2 buttons a little bit later when we talk about time standards. For individual events, here's some other options. There's not really swim ups in high school meets. Whether you want to allow relay leg times to be used as entry times, that's a popular one for our teams. Whether you have any exhibition entries. And then down here at the bottom, I know for many high school meets, there might be a limit on the number of relays you can enter. So here's where you can specify that limit. And you will also want to check allow athletes to enter multiple relays of the same stroke. For example, more than 1 freestyle relay. And since for school meets, there's generally the 200 freestyle and the 400 freestyle relay, you will want to check this box as well. If the meet allows you to enter relay alternates, you would also want to check this box to allow to enter in up to 8 athletes for that relay. We're going to tab over here to the right. Here are entry fees. Now, this does not allow you to pay the entry fees, but it'll allow you to tally a report that tells you how much each athlete or total is owed. So say for each athlete, we have to pay $12. You can go ahead and put that in there. Or if there was like maybe an individual entry fee of $10, you would put that in there as well. Maybe it's $5 for relays. Eligibility, I know this one isn't very common for high school meets, but I'll just highlight it anyway. A lot of times for summer league or year-round meets, if it's a championship meet, there may be a designation where your swimmers will have to have swum in maybe 2 official meets during that season, and that's where you can add this eligibility requirement. Seating and scoring, this would apply to if you are running your meet in Meet Maestro, which is our meet management software. This is designates how you would like the meet to be seated and scored. You have options for slowest to fastest, fastest to slowest. Say you are swimming against just maybe one other team, you might want to put the home team in even lanes and the away team in odd lanes. This allows you to designate that. This is your official time computation. These are your points. Again, if you are running your meet in Maestro and say the points go 9, 8, 7, 6, 4, 3. This is how you can designate that. Your points for your individual events and your points for your relay events. And then you would want to save at the bottom. Then I'm going to come up here to, we're going to come up to files. And I'm going to show you this is where you can attach the heat sheet, you know, once that is populated, parking maps, meet information. And I'm going to go over to our team to show you what that looks like. Oh, sorry here. So see, for this turkey try meet, we have the meet information, the team seating map. For TISCA, there's since it's a multi-day event, this is under the description. There's links to the live stream. Again, down here in the Jingle Bell Splash, we have the attached file for the meet information. And then if we go to some of our past events, for our district preview meet, it has the meet information, the meet timeline, the heat sheet, and then the PDF of the results once the meet is finished. So it's a great place to attach files for your parents to be able to view, download, and print. Does anyone have any questions? No? Okay. All right. Well, we'll keep moving along. All right. So then we're going to kind of go right to left. So over here is jobs. We have a whole nother training webinar regarding volunteering, but this is where you would set up jobs or any volunteer needs that you need for the meet. Now we're going to go back over to entries. So we have our November Classic where we declared for our athletes, Larissa and Lane. But say as a coach, these are your high school athletes, you know, everyone's going to attend the meet unless they've told you otherwise. So, and they have a conversation with you about what events they're going to swim, or it's your policy to just choose the events for them. That in this, this is what we call the meet entries matrix. So there's two ways you can go athlete by athlete. So I'm going to click on Lila, and I'm going to put her in the 200 free and the 100 free, and I'm going to do a custom time for her. She did a 2:15:44 for the 100 IM, and that is short course yards. Sorry, which is the Y. And I'm going to hit save. And I'm just going to quickly tab over to our meet setup and our entry rules. And I want to get rid of that because I want some seat times to populate. Okay. So Lila, oh, and we forgot she was still showing white, which meant undeclared. So I'm going to say she is attending. Hit save. But Liza, she is sick. She will be not attending. Liza is grayed out since she is not attending the meet. And I can group my athletes by status, or I would just have them grouped by status. So that puts my attending athletes in green at the top, my undeclared, which is white, in the middle, and Liza, who's not attending, at the bottom. If I ungroup it, it sorts them by alphabetical order. But I kind of like group by status, so we're going to go with that. Now, so I can do that individually, one by one, or I've got this handy dandy edit entries, and I'm going to click on that. And I'm going to go through, Liza is not attending, but everyone else is. So I'm going to quickly mark them as attending. And I'm going to go ahead and select the different events for each athlete. And I can do it real quick in this edit athletes interface. And then I'm going to hit save. And that's got all these athletes entered into events. I have designated these following athletes as attending, but I haven't quite decided on what events they're swimming just yet. And then if I tab over here, this takes me to my male athletes, and I would go ahead and do the same thing. Now, that's individual entries. Relay entries, tab over to the right, and again, we've designated our preference right here for, and we're going to follow the traditional relay order. But again, if I wanted to make a change to that, I could click edit and make a change to my desired freestyle relay order. So I'm going to go ahead and I can do one of two things. I can automatically generate relay teams, but since I have a lot of athletes with no times, I have manually built them, and I'm going to go ahead and enter them. So I'm going to add relay team. In the system for the medley relay, it's going to choose the fastest 4 athletes. So for the backstroke, it's showing me Larissa. Well, they all don't have time, so that's kind of and I'm going to go over to breast, and it tells me Alicia is the fastest breaststroker, which you can tell by her seed time. I'm going to put Alicia in. Fly is Dana, and freestyle, Samantha. Now, because Larissa has a no time, it's giving me an estimated seed time as no time. But if I want to make a change to that, I can go ahead and edit that time as well. We're going to do 1:53:44. And I've created that seed time for that relay. And if we tap over here to reports, we've got some notes, different reports that pertain to this meet. This tells me about my participants, and if I want to quickly email everyone who's attending this meet, like I want to send them a real quick email saying, just a reminder, the bus will be leaving the high school at 7:45 in the morning. Please arrive at 7:15. I can go ahead and quickly hit compose, and that'll bring up all those athletes that are attending that meet. If I have anyone who I don't know is attending or not attending, I can look at the missing entries and again, print or compose. First time entrance. So Lane, this is the first time he's swimming the 100 butterfly. And the 500 freestyle, it just is a little bit of a flag. You know, it's a report I can run, and maybe I can talk to these athletes, knowing that it's their first time swimming these events. These are my non-attending swimmers. And then these are the ones that had some coach notes and when they did their entries. And again, Larissa has reminded me that she has a minor shoulder injury. So I've got my entries all finalized. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to tab down to a meet that I have all those entries. And I'm going to tab to merge and export. I'm going to lock out all changes so that no more changes once this is turned on can be made to these entries. Now we have a couple options here. If the meet is being run in SwimTopia, if you are the host team and you're running the meet in SwimTopia, you would mark your entries as on. If there's another SwimTopia team that you are linked to, that's one of your competitors for the team, they will show up here. If one of your opposing teams that will be attending the meet that you're running in Maestro has an entry, a high-tech entry file or another swim software entry file, you can go ahead and upload that here. We do a HY3, which is high-tech, an SD3 or a zip file, and that will go ahead and import those teams' entries. But if your meet, if you are the visiting team and the host is running the meet in, let's say, high-tech meet manager, you tab over here to downloads and you can go ahead and down your meet entries file, which in a high-tech format. And some meets also require a team roster. So that is also downloadable into a HY3, which is a high-tech format. Now, I do want to highlight before, if the meet you are attending is a USA sanctioned high school meet, and the swimmers will, those times can count towards as a USA swimming time, and the swimmers want those times uploaded into swims, you will need to make sure that their USA swimming ID is associated with their athlete profile in SwimTopia. There are two ways to go about this. If you go under reports, we're going to tab down here under member information, and it says athlete registration numbers. In this field, this is where you can input their USA swimming ID. So I'm going to go ahead and import a USA swimming ID for Lane Bilford, and I'm going to click save. Now I'm going to go back over to my people, and I'm going to go look for Lane. And if I look under Lane and I click on edit, we can see now that under additional information, his USA swimming member ID number is listed. I do also have to make sure that his competition category, his date of birth, his first and last name and middle initial are included, and that they match the information that his family has registered him with USA Swimming. So if his name was John, but they had him listed as Johnny, we would want to make sure that it matched in our system as to what it's listed in for USA Swimming. Then if this, I do also want to highlight, if this meet is also, say you are the visiting team and the meet was run in another software such as high-tech, once you get those results, you would tab over here to results, import, and that's where you can go ahead and import that high-tech results file from the opposing team and get those times imported and associated with your swimmers' best times. Any questions? Okay. We're going to go ahead and click on this meet called TISCA. Now, I know some meets have what we call a time standard or a qualifying time to enter that meet. So I have our TISCA meet, and I have set up the TISCA qualifying times over here under time standards, where those qualifying times are entered. I'm going to tab back to my TISCA meet. I'm going to go under entry rules and require entry times to be faster than or equal to. And from the drop-down menu, I can see my TISCA time standards. I'm going to hit save. And if I go over to my entries, any athlete that does not have a qualifying time will be show as grade with the kind of like red, kind of like a no entry symbol. But athletes who have qualified, you will see them up here in white until I decide whether, they're declared or currently they're undeclared but qualified. Any questions on time standards? Okay, well, I'm going to go up those. That was kind of the overview on how to do the meet entries, but a lot of times after, when you send in your entries, there are some reports that you might want to run or that you need to also send with your meet entries. So we go up here to the right-hand side to reports, and we're going to go over under swim meets. So we have the meet entries matrix, and that was basically the interface that we were just in. And you basically have the option to print this out. And this might be a handy printable for your coach. Meet entries by event. This one is a great one. Say your meet has an entry limitation of you can only enter in 4 athletes to each event. Well, you would run this report, sort it by individual events. You can, and then you're going to kind of go through and make sure that you don't have more than 4 athletes entered in. Oh, see, for the 50 free, I have 6 athletes entered, so I would want to go in and remove 2 of those athletes. So this is a great report to run, especially in that instance. There's also meet entries by athlete. I'm going to do individual and relay events, but I only want to show athletes that are attending, and I want to make sure I have everyone's USA Swimming ID number. So I'm going to include the registration number on this report so I can eyeball if anyone is missing. So as you can see for Lane, his USA Swimming ID number shows up under his name, and then it shows me each of the events or relays that those athletes are entered in. And a lot of times meet hosts will ask this to be attached to the meet, so you can go ahead, print it and save it as a PDF, and then attach that with your email if you are emailing the entry file. We talked about our entry fees. So this shows how much is owed for each athlete. Meet participants. This is similar to the one that you saw in the meet entries matrix, but it's another area that you can access it. And this just tells me everyone who's entered into this meet, how many individual entries and how many relays and how many combined. Missing entries, these are athletes who I don't know if they're coming or not. So I might want to run this report to kind of just eyeball that as, okay, I need to talk to Sam, Lane, Blake, Trent, etc. in class today and make sure that they sign up for the meet. First time entrance, we talked about that report. Meet absence. This is any list of anyone who's, is not attending. This is a relay report. This is great. This is a nice little report that you can print out that just lists all your athletes in the relays. You might want to print that out and post that in your team room for the athletes to look at. Proof of times, a lot of times you're going to have to send for certain championship meets a proof of time report. This is where you can run that. So like, for example, Colette Church, she earned this time in the district 6A meet back in January of 2022. And then conversely, after a meet, if there were any DQs, you could go ahead and run that as well. Does anybody have any questions on the reports? Well, that's pretty much it for meet entries. I do also want to highlight a few other things in our SwimTopia. Up here in the right-hand corner, this is what we call what's new. And like the name says, it's how we communicate new features that we want you to be aware of. So whenever you see this kind of highlighted, click on it, and it's going to tell you, like this one talks about our workshop webinars, reminders to update your season, just little tips and tricks or, different features that we're rolling out. So definitely want to check on that. This, if you click on the Help Center, this takes you to our Help Center where we have all sorts of articles to help you navigate the different areas of our software. For example, say you have some questions on, we actually have an area of just for schools. This area is pertains specifically to school teams, so you might find this information useful. And if you still have a question after perusing our Help Center, go ahead and click on this handy dandy little, excuse me, help bubble down here. And how can we help you? Say, I have a question on meet entries. Excuse me. Excuse me. It talks about, it'll bring up some various pertinent articles, but you can also leave us a message. Excuse me. And we will get back to you. Our customer happiness team will get back to you. Conversely, you can send us an email at help@swimtopia.com. And we are more than happy to help. All right. Any other questions? All right. Well, you guys have been a great group today. Thank you so much for your time. Again, please reach out, help@swimtopia.com if you need any assistance. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.